The American dream. What is that? Whatever it is and whatever it used to be is now dead. There is no American dream.
Listen, if you still want to come to America because you believe in the American dream, let me tell you something. That dream died like 30 plus years ago, and now we're living in a dream that involves paying $10 for a dozen of shitty fucking eggs, paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in the ghetto that's about 700 square feet and it has no walls.
Man, honestly, fuck the American dream. The American dream ain't never did nothing for nobody but put them in some goddamn debt. You buy a house, you in debt. You buy a car, you in debt. You start a business, you in debt. You try to go to school, you in debt. You telling me there ain't shit we can do in this life to where a motherfucker ain't gotta be in debt? Like nothing? And it's like, I know God intended for us to do more than just clock in and die. Because at this fucking point, that's all we doing. We barely making enough to survive and we clocking in and dying. That's all the fuck we doing.
They said all you had to do was work hard. They lied. Today, millions of Americans work more than ever and still can't afford rent, food, or healthcare. The American dream has turned into pure survival. And the worst part, they still blame you for failing at a game that was rigged from the start.
The American dream. What is that? Whatever it is and whatever it used to be is now dead. There is no American dream. The American dream used to be you were young, you got a job. College or no college, you got a job, you started working. You saved up money. You found somebody, bought a house or built a house, had a couple kids, had a little piece of property. The problem is now, today, that's unattainable. You can't get that. So 99% of people now live in apartments because you can't buy a house. You can't own a home and have a family and support your family on one income. Back then, like in, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, usually the husband or the father worked. Mother stayed home with the kids. That's not even a thing anymore. Now two people got to work. And if you don't, it's not easy. It's a struggle. But the American dream is dead. Unfortunately, that's not a thing anymore. All we can do now is just try to get into one day to the next and kind of hope for the best and just get up, go to work, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go to sleep, get up, go to work, go to sleep. And that's it. That's the American dream.
This testimony shows the grief of people who believed in a simple script: work hard, start a family, and live with dignity. The problem is the system changed, and the story didn't. The American dream depended on wages rising with the cost of living, affordable homes, and one income supporting a household. That's gone. Housing became a financial asset, not a home. Wages stagnated while everything else exploded. The result is autopilot survival. Work, sleep, repeat. The core point is clear. This isn't laziness. It's structural impossibility. The answer isn't nostalgia. It's admitting the model no longer works for most people.
Listen, if you still want to come to America because you believe in the American dream, let me tell you something. That dream died like 30 plus years ago, and now we're living in a dream that involves paying $10 for a dozen of shitty fucking eggs, paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in the ghetto that's about 700 square feet and it has no walls. And then if you want to go to university here, you're looking at around $100,000 for a 4-year education. That's on the low end. But in those 4 years, you might get shot because everyone seems to want to shoot each other for some ungodly reason. Then you're going to graduate thinking, oh, I graduated, I have a degree now, I'm going to get a good job. Your good job is going to pay you about $40,000 starting off, maybe, and then they're going to say you're going to work 40 hours a week. When in reality, you're going to be working about 50 plus hours a week because they're going to guilt trip you in by saying, we're a family, we're a team, we help each other. And they're not going to pay you overtime for that because why would they? If they get your help for free, why would they pay you for that? Okay? Then there's no work-life balance. That company you're working for now doesn't want to give you vacation days until like maybe your second year working there. And those vacation days are maybe 4 days out of the whole entire year. That includes holidays. All right? Then if you're sick, too bad you still have to come to work. Okay? Then if you want to buy groceries, your groceries are going to be your whole entire paycheck because no one can afford to eat here anymore. I go to the grocery store for 4 things. It's like $50. I'm just saying it sucks living here. I don't want to live here. I want to leave. So maybe you should rethink your whole American dream because it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Okay? Okay, love you. Bye.
This video exposes the psychological and financial cost of living in the US today. Everything is expensive, unstable, and unsafe. Outrageous housing, inflated food prices, unaffordable education, and normalized violence. The good job doesn't pay well, demands unpaid overtime, and sells the lie of corporate family. There's no work-life balance and no safety net. the dream turns into constant anxiety. The message is clear. The country sells opportunity, but delivers exploitation. The reality is simple and harsh. Either the system changes, or people will keep wanting to leave instead of making it.
I'm sorry, but the American dream never fucking existed. Like, what? Your dream is to work until you are 65 and decrepit and not be able to make ends meet the entire time? Like, I'm sorry, but that just does not sound remotely appealing to me. It's not even about the dream anymore. Like, people are literally just trying to afford living in America. And here's the thing. If you are working for America, you will never be able to live your dream life in America. Like, and I know that most of you have probably already scrolled by now because you don't think it's possible to live in America without working for America. I was a server at the beginning of 2023. I quit my serving job. I started affiliate and digital marketing in April of 2023 and have now made almost $300,000 working online, and none of that came from my serving job. So if you are genuinely interested in working for yourself, starting an online business, check out the roadmap. It's at the top of my page. It literally shows you everything that you need to know to make money online, to start digital marketing. But I promise your dreams are so much more achievable than you think they are, but you're probably not going to reach very many of them by living that American dream life.
Here, the American dream is dismissed as an illusion from the start. Working until you're old and still struggling isn't a dream. It's institutionalized fear. The interesting part is the personal pivot, escaping traditional jobs and making money online. But that reveals a bigger issue. Only those who break the rules escape. If everyone has to become a digital entrepreneur to live well, the employment model has failed. The criticism is valid, but the solution isn't collective. It's exceptional. Not everyone can sell courses. The system is still broken.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent. Yes, my kids are grown adults. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 25. And I thought by teaching them what I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need, right? Worked for me, why wouldn't it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has fucking changed, all right? And now I feel like I see them struggling. And before my generation comes at me, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning. All right? So we struggled and it was tough. But you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. It seems like kids today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the drowning point. All right? When I was their age, I was making less than $10 an hour. And I can afford to live on my own. Now you have to be making six-figure salary to get a decent, tiny little place to live. So what the fuck is going on and how do we help them as parents? I told my son, all you have to do is work hard, go to college or join the military like I did. He went to college, got his degree, got a full-time job. He moved back in with me right when he graduated from college because he said, hey, Mom, as soon as I get a job, which was within 2 weeks of him getting out of college, maybe take me 2 months and I'll save up enough money for me to move out. Okay, cool. It's been 10 months. He has saved almost every dime and still can't afford to live. Why are one-bedroom studio apartments almost $2,000 a month? Why? Like, I just don't get it. So I don't even think that there's even classes anymore. There used to be, upper class, middle class, lower class. It's literally turning into the ultra wealthy and then everybody else is just poor. Like, that's what is happening. And then I told him, hey, when you turn 25, at least your car insurance will go down. Hell no, he turned 25 and his car insurance went up $150. I tell him, if you need health insurance, get a good job. He has health insurance. He has had a medical emergency this week. Had to go to emergency room twice. He had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't get anybody to see him with the health insurance that he had. Right? So he had to go to an emergency room. Now he's out money for that too. It seems like you can never get ahead. And then my daughter, I told her all you have to do because she wanted to buy her own house. My daughter worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to save up enough for this down payment. Finally got this house. She's paying double what I'm paying for my mortgage, but her loan was the same amount. And then her mortgage company, after she's already moved in, said, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you that you need this type of coverage, which we forgot in the beginning. That's an extra $200 you've been paying a month. And all they see when they come home is they watch social media, kids their age on lavish vacations with all this money and nothing to do, all these social media influencers, because we value those types of things over hard workers. We will pay them $10,000, but you work 40 hours a week, you can't afford it.
This one hurts because it comes from a mother who did everything right and watched the promise fail her own kids. The generational shock is brutal. Before, low wages still bought independence. Today, Degrees and full-time jobs guarantee nothing. Rent, healthcare, insurance, everything is a financial trap. The middle class is being crushed, leaving only the ultra-wealthy and everyone else struggling to stay afloat. The cruelest part is the parents' sense of helplessness. The message is clear. Effort without reward destroys hope. The first step forward is admitting the game has changed, and it's unfair.
The American dream ain't real, never was. It's a bedtime story they tell the poor so we don't wake up and burn the whole system down. Work hard, play by the rules, and you'll make it. Yeah? Then why are millions of us barely scraping by while billionaires hoard enough money to end poverty 100 times over? They tell us it's about effort, that if you're struggling, it's your fault. Not the rigged economy, not the landlords jacking up rent 150% since the 90s, not the fact that minimum wage hasn't kept up with inflation since the 60s, and not the fact that half of us don't have $500 for an emergency while CEOs make that in a second. Nah, it's you. You just didn't try hard enough. I say bullshit. They say go to college, but a degree don't mean nothing when you're drowning in debt you'll never pay off. Student loans in this country total $1.7 trillion. And who profits? The same banks that needed bailouts while we all lost our homes in '08. The same politicians that send their kids to Ivy League schools with no debt, no struggle, and no worries. It was never about giving us a future. It was about trapping us. They say, buy a house. With what? Wages ain't moved in decades. Rent so high, can't even save. The average home price is 5 times what it was in the 80s, and they want to tell us it's just inflation? No, it's greed. It's billionaires and banks buying up homes, turning neighborhoods into playgrounds for the rich, pushing working people into the dirt. They say just get a good job. Where? Factory jobs are all gone. Retail jobs can barely pay rent. Healthcare costs can wipe out your whole life savings overnight. They say the economy is booming. But for who? Because it ain't the single mom working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. It ain't the guy breaking his back in a warehouse with no benefits. And it sure as hell ain't the millions working harder than ever just to stay broke. And then they tell us, well, at least you have freedom. Freedom to what? To die because we can't afford insulin? To work ourselves to death while billionaires ride rockets to space? To choose between rent and food? That ain't freedom. That's a death sentence. The truth is, the American dream is a leash, a scam, a fantasy to keep us obedient, to keep us blaming ourselves instead of the real enemy, the ones who rigged the game in the first place, and they will keep us chasing that lie until the day we die, unless we finally say enough. We don't need to work harder. We don't need to suffer more. We need to take back what's ours. We built this country. We keep it running, and we're the ones struggling? Nah, not anymore. The dream is dead. Time to build something real.
This take is more aggressive, but it hits the point. The dream became a tool for blame. If you're struggling, it's your fault, never the system's. Meanwhile, billionaires hoard wealth. Wages don't keep up with inflation, and rent becomes a lifelong trap. Meritocracy talk keeps people obedient, working harder and questioning less. Education turned into debt, not mobility. This exposes a rigged game. The people who create wealth don't keep it. Real solutions require regulation, living wages, and limits on speculation. Without that, hard work only guarantees exhaustion, not a future.